Hello, lovely, lovely ladies of Expansion 2023. This is Module 1. And if you're seeing this, you're probably catching the replay. So go ahead and drop a replay in the comments for me, and then do me a huge favor and comment as if you are live. I'm looking over here at my computer for comments so that in the event they're not immediately working on my phone, which they are. Oh my gosh, they are. Hi, Amy. I'm so glad they're working. Woohoo! This is amazing. This is amazing. This is so cool. Okay. I have my lovely cup of names here that I have been adding to. And then, ooh, Amy says it's baking day at her house. That's awesome. Let's see here. Okay. And this has been, this has been my year, actually. It's not even, I can't even say it's my day. It's been my year. As somebody had said yesterday, I think it was Katie, she said that her word of the year is actually expansion. And she's like, oh, I'm so there, because her word of the year has been expansion. And it's not my word of the year, but it has definitely been a theme of this year. My word of the year is safe. And that was completely intuitive when it came. It was like instantaneous when I sat down with the intention of what's my word of the year. Instantly, it's safe. Safe? Seriously? That's like, aren't we supposed to have like something grandiose to be our word of the year? And no, intuition, Holy Spirit, womb. No, it's safe. Okay, wrote it down and was thinking about it like a day later. I was like, I need to go with intention, sit back down and just kind of like feel into that and make sure that's right. And every time I went to change it, it was safe. And that's what it's going to be. I was like, okay, I'll run with safe. Fine. That can be the word of the year, whatever. And that was in like the middle of January. That wasn't like in December. It wasn't the 1st of January. It was in like the middle of January. And the year has been nothing but expansion. And yet the theme of safe has been so prominent. Let me know in the comments, whether you're on replay or whether you're not, what is your word of the year? Or did you pick a word of the year? Have you even bothered? Like, we're a whole quarter in. We are 3 months into 2023. Have you picked a word of the year? And if so, I would love to know what it is in the comments. Let me know what it is. And if you have not picked a word of the year, it is not too late. You still can. Ooh, Amy says hers is growth. I love it. I love it. Okay. The thing about a word of the year is I used to think that it was like the thing that would define. It would define the year. And I think in 2017, I picked consistency. And I didn't have the right mentors in place. I didn't have the right support system in place to keep that top of mind. And so I was like, okay, January 1st, we're going to say it's consistency. And that just means that's what it's going to be. Like, there was no structure for that feminine flow of consistency. So if you're new in my world, what I'm talking about is that everything, and I do mean everything, has a masculine aspect and a feminine aspect, but especially humans, because we're made in the image of Creator. And if we're made in the image of Creator and we can be made she and we can be made he in the image of Creator, we actually have a feminine element and we have a masculine element regardless of our gender. And so the masculine is the structure. It's your foundation on a house, the walls on the house, the roof on the house, the doors in the house, the windows in the house, so that there's something solid and constant that the feminine of like a family or even just a single person can flow in and out of, can open the windows and let the breeze in, can have a meal, can entertain, can all of those things leave and come back to this safety, this masculine structure. And so in 2017, I didn't have enough of a grasp of this. I was just like, okay, the word of the year is consistency, and that's just what it's going to be. And that means the year will be dominated by consistency, right? No, because I had no structure for that to flow within. Ooh, Gina says abundance and generosity are her words of the year. I love it. I now have that structure for it to flow within. And so if you've never been taught this before, like whatever it is that makes you really have something solidify in your mind, whether it's going for a walk while you're hearing me, go do that. If it's sitting and taking notes, go do that. I personally, I will lose 80% of a training if I try and sit and watch the screen, or especially read the comments. But if I will just pop in earbuds and go for a walk, or even, this is gonna sound ridiculous, even play like it's not Tetris, but it's kind of like it, on my phone. While I'm listening to a training, I will remember so much more of it. If I'm walking, playing a brain game, I retain so much more of the content. So, on the word of the year note, do whatever it is that's gonna have you remember this, okay? Your word of the year is meant to be something that can be built upon, something that can be expanded into, something that can be a theme woven throughout. It's something that you get to solidify in your system, and it may be that you need it multiple years in a row, or you come back to it later, and that's okay. But it's something that you solidify as a piece of your life. So it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. Gina's looking for abundance and generosity in all the circumstances. She doesn't say generosity and then make that dominate her year of okay, I have to be generous again. I have to be generous again. No, she's looking for it in every situation that she finds herself in. Looking to expand upon it in every situation that she's in. And so this word safe for me this year, I was just like, seriously, womb? Seriously, Holy Spirit? Safe? And the more I felt into it in January, it's safe in any situation, Sarah. If your husband comes home and he says that he quit because of the stress, are you safe? Oh, I can expand into that. Okay, if, as you hold more clients, can you feel safe? Can your nervous system be safe as you hold more clients? I can expand into that. Can you have curveballs thrown at you and your nervous system and be safe, no matter the circumstance? Been working on that for a couple of years, but it can definitely be better, bigger, more. I can expand into that. And by golly, here, I'm showing my roots here. By golly, if that's not what Q1 has been. Curveball, what you gonna do? Are you gonna be safe? Are you gonna expand into safe? Curveball, you're still reeling from the other one. Can you still be safe in your nervous system as I toss another one your way? Curveball, you're reeling from the last two. Still, can your nervous system still be safe with another one? Can you expand into that? That's been my Q1. Yes, Amy, exactly. And so today is April 4th, dating my videos here. Today is April 4th. Sunday was my baby girl's 3rd birthday. She woke us up at 6:30 or something, throwing up. And so we canceled the party part, but by the afternoon she was kind of feeling better enough that it was we'll go ahead and do presents. And then by evening it was yeah, we'll go ahead and do her cake. And so the party kind of just fizzled. I let everyone know not to come because she was sick, but I also didn't want it to just be hey, it's your birthday, but we're not doing anything because you're puking, even though you thought we were doing something. And so it did what it did. It became its own animal. And so I had let the nanny know on Sunday. I was don't know what this week is gonna hold. And I hadn't announced officially this masterclass yet. And I was actually kind of tentative to do so. I was hot lava. because when one gets a stomach virus, another one gets a stomach virus, and another one, and another one. But my husband had had a fever Friday evening, sore throat, headache Saturday, seemed better-ish on Sunday, and so I was like, okay, surely we've got, like 4 days that anybody could have caught whatever they were going to catch. Announced this yesterday. Huge acceptance, everybody's like, yes, oh my gosh, yay! And thank you to everyone that has shared. I do have names already in the cup here. And as soon as I get to the first thing on my very short list here, it's drawing, and we'll draw a name, but I haven't even finished with opening statements yet to get to the drawing part. So we'll get there. So this morning, so I announced this yesterday. I was like, I think we're good. The nanny came yesterday. I try and keep her away from sick, because what happens is if she comes when we're sick and I'm not actually working, then next week I end up canceling too, because that's when she gets sick, and then I've got 2 weeks that I'm out. So I do my best to not have her here when there's sickness, so that hopefully she won't get it, so that hopefully I only miss, a couple days this week and none next week. That's the theory. But everybody was fine yesterday. I was like, well, we'll have her come. About 1:40 this morning, my husband's shaking me, going, Sarah, 5-year-old's puking. Okay. I don't want to get up. I read a book till 11:30. I've only been asleep for 2 hours. I'm up. And he had like every light in the house on so that he could see where she had puked and get it cleaned up. And I was like, and he's still like, his throat actually got worse yesterday. He can't even talk really. He whispers. And yet he's the one closest to the bedroom door. And so he's the one that, was woke up. Actually, no, he said he was actually up because he couldn't sleep when she came stumbling out wanting water. And then, the water promptly came back up. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Get up. Get her hair pulled out of her face amid feeling that it already got stuff in it. Ew. Get it pulled out of her face. He's cleaning up what hit the floor. And we get her set up in front of the stove because she was cold, with a bowl and a towel and a blanket and a pillow. And my husband curled up next to her because girls, we're going on 3 years of she just wants daddy. She's 5. 3 years of she just wants daddy. Okay. So Cody goes and curls up next to her on the floor, and I was like, you good? Can I go back to bed? Legitimately, it had been 4 minutes. 4 minutes, I was fully dressed, lights ablaze, nervous system. You don't go back to sleep. It doesn't work like that, but I tried. I laid there for about another hour, is actually what it was. And I think I drifted once. Cody had come back into bed. I woke up when that happened because she had fallen asleep, and he's like, I want my bed. So he came back into bed. I woke up when that happened. I don't think I was very far into sleep at that point. So then I lay there again, listening to him snore. And then dispatch called. It's snowing. We need you to come in. He probably had 3 hours of sleep last night. Went into work. He was there by 4 this morning. And with her puking this morning, I was like, okay, I'm not having the nanny come in. That's just not happening. And so he got up to go after dispatch had called. And I'm still laying there over an hour after he'd initially gotten me up awake. And they say that if you've been awake for 20 minutes, you may as well go do something else because you're not going back to sleep right then. So it'd been an hour. So 3 times 20 minutes. I was like, you know what, I'll just read a book. I have the Twilight app on my phone, so all the blue light's gone. Usually it actually makes me tired more quickly. And so I just went back to reading my book, and I was asleep, I don't know, within 30 minutes or so. Which was nice. And then they've all got me up this morning. It was before 7 when my daughter, my little one, was like, Mom, come wake me! My worst, absolute worst depression days in 15 and 16 was when I didn't get enough sleep. And in 15 and 16, I had a 3 to 4-year-old and a 1 to 2-year-old. Little years. You don't get a lot of sleep in little years. And so it exacerbated the depression that was already present when I wouldn't get enough sleep. And so that's, playing in the back of my head because it does. Like, I know the thing that triggers it, and also, like, there's times you can't do anything about it. And I wasn't going to have the nanny come because I already said I don't want her sick next week so that I miss more. And so I asked Cody, I was like, so you on your way home? Thinking that, he took care of whatever snow there was. He was actually irritated because the guy that called him in didn't need to call him in. There was not enough snow for 2 trucks to be out. So I was like, are you coming home? He said, I'll stay till noon. That's when I'll have my 8. I said, okay, well, I have a class to teach at 2. That's my time. And he said, okay. And that was the end of the conversation. And I was like, okay, he'll be here then. I also had a private client call at 11, but I was like, I can handle that. I'll just turn screens on for everybody. I'll be in my room, but the door will be open. We can do the private client call. Calls with me before noon my time, you don't get me on camera anyway, so it was like, no big deal. I'll just be off camera. I can kind of monitor out the door. No big deal. I was still fully present with the client. It worked. So then at 12, I said, so did you get elderberry? Because I'd asked him to pick that up on his way home, and he said, I don't know. I'll get it when I come. I'm like, I need you here by 1:30. I have a class at 2. Oh, I thought the nanny was there. I said, no, I don't want her sick. You said you'd be off at noon, so I just ran with that. He's like, oh. So thankfully we avoided a huge misunderstanding. Like, there was the misunderstanding there, but we managed to, catch it before it became a problem. He's like, oh, I'll be leaving in 15 minutes then. I said, phew, thank you so much. So here I am, exhausted. I had started feeling my throat on Sunday afternoon, same as what he had, but I proactively had a vitamin IV a week ago yesterday. Yeah, Monday. And so I actually was like, this will be an interesting test to see if this vitamin IV actually keeps me well through whatever it is that Cody got on Friday. And so I wasn't really doing anything proactive for myself other than that, just so that I could test it and see. My throat started to feel it on Sunday. I was like, I'll take some elderberry. Because it was viral, because he had a fever. And most stomach anything is viral unless it's food poisoning. And so I did take some elderberry on Sunday. I didn't take any yesterday until like the middle of the night last night whenever I woke up. So this morning I am tired. When I'm tired, I get short with my children. When I'm tired, like, I already have auditory stuff where I don't handle noise or loud, big sound well. And I don't handle multiple sounds well. So like, if the stove is running and the fridge is running and I can hear the fan and you're trying to talk to me, it can be a normal volume and I can't follow. Like, I'm reading lips trying to figure it out. Not because I can't hear well, but because I can hear very well. And I hear everything. And so when I don't have enough sleep, that exacerbates dramatically. And it's like, if you're laughing, shut up. If you're crying, please stop. If you're screaming, definitely go outside. Like, everything. And I'm volleying. I'm like, okay, I already canceled the nanny. I can handle the private client call. I'll figure it out. Do I move expansion? Cody will be here. It'll be fine. Do I move expansion? Cody will be here. It'll be fine. Do I move expansion? What's your word? Safe. Is this an opportunity to expand since you're teaching expansion? Yep. Sure is. Okay. Cody will be here. I don't have the excuse or the reason of I don't have childcare in order to call off. Nobody has puked since about, 8 o'clock this morning. So nobody actually needs, mommy to hold them in this moment. Okay. I can show up exhausted. I can show up and I can teach expansion. And the duality of it is it will be expanding me to do so. So welcome to expansion. Those were opening remarks. Shall we draw a name? How far in are we? 20 minutes in for opening remarks. And none of it was the flow show. Okay, we're going to draw our first name. Because of the accounts stuff that happened last month, and we are going to talk about that because it is part of expansion. Because of that, because a couple of years ago, oh, thank you, Gina. Because a couple of years ago, Facebook actually did take a nap. There was like an entire day nobody could access Facebook. Because these things happen and we just never know, this is why for free masterclasses, I ask you all to register. I don't do it because I want you on the email list. I do it because if I lose my accounts, I can email you and tell you what my new account is. I can email you and say, hey, I lost my accounts, but the thing we were supposed to do today, it's on Zoom over here. But if you don't register for these free events, I can't have you on the email list so that if something dramatic like that does happen, I can't let you know. So please do register for this event. If you have not already, go ahead and just drop register in the comments and I will come back through and I'll make sure that you do get the link to register. Okay? So please do register for it. And then at the bottom of that registration page is the I'm in graphic. So go ahead and share that. That is how you get your name in this delightful cup, this infinity cup. I love to call it my infinity cup. That's how you get your name in this cup, is by sharing that I'm in graphic. And you can share it infinitely. I think Gina had it in 4 places this morning. Maybe it was 3. Like, she had it in stories, Instagram and Facebook. She had it in an Instagram post. Like, wow. I'm so honored that y'all enjoy my content enough to even share it in the first place. Because you don't have to. Like, if you want in the drawing, you want in the drawing. If you feel aligned to share it, you feel aligned to share it. And if you don't, it's totally okay. It's no big deal. But I'm so honored, like, you tickle me pink that you all share it. So thank you so much for that. So this person has $111 coaching dollars that is in my hot little hand here. And it can be applied to anything over $111. And at the end today, we'll be looking at the various things that you could possibly apply that to. So, Gina, who had her name in there the most, I do believe. Girl, you have $111 coaching dollars. Thank you so much, Rochelle. I received that. Okay, so last month, I started speaking from my womb space. I am somebody who used to have multiple pages of notes in order to show up. Yes, congratulations, babe. In order to show up and deliver a course. I had to have multiple pages of notes. It was very much a crutch, and one that I asked multiple different mentors. I was like, how do I not do this? And they're like, one day you don't. Not helpful. I want the structure. I want the how. I want, how do I launch a course? Oh, well, it's this step, this step, this step, this step. Great, thanks. How do I not need notes for the course? You just don't. Okay, a little bit more? You just don't. Got it. So, in February, after retreat, a lot of work was done at retreat, and in February, I showed up with like 11 pages of notes for the first day of the FemPower Masterclass, which is in the featured section in this group. If you want to go through FemPower, by all means, go through FemPower. It was powerful. Puns intended, not intended, whatever. I didn't look at those 11 pages of notes until the end when I wanted to just double check what my offers were and make sure I didn't miss anything. And I was like, this is fun. Speaking from my womb, not my head. So the next day I showed up with 8 pages of notes. Didn't look at them again until the end when I wanted to make sure I could go over my offers. So on day 3, I didn't show up with notes at all other than the offers. And that was probably the longest masterclass that I have ever taught. It was a 3-day masterclass, and it was super powerful. It was very impactful. The people that were there, like, I got feedback in the DMs, I got feedback in the comment section, like, it was good. And so, just to reiterate for those that weren't here right at the beginning, that's all the notes I have. That's 1 page. That's all the notes I have. It's exciting. It's fun. It's awesome. I love it. And it saves me time. Oh my gosh. It was like, I had gotten to a point, I used to need 90 minutes to prepare for a single module of anything. I needed 90 minutes. And I got it down to about 20. Like, I could hammer out 10 pages of notes in about 20 minutes if that's what I needed to do in order to have the notes that I needed to go live. And so it was like, it just slowly was less time until poof, you don't need it. And that was cool. And that was fun. So, oh, thank you, Rebecca. She says, yes, it was amazing. So this is what our day has looked like starting from about, like I said, 1:30 last night. And your girl didn't go to bed until after 11:30 because this book series. And I don't just read a book to enjoy it, like I definitely enjoy it, but because of who I am and the things I do for fun, which is write novels for fun, is dissecting it the whole time. Like, okay, this happened, what's keeping me going here? What's making me not want to put it down tonight? How do I infuse that into my stuff? And so that's, it's dual purpose in that way of like, I love what I'm reading, it's enjoyable, and also, how do I insert this into my works? So, this year, I don't even think I can recount to you everything of this year. What I remember is that January was dominated by expansion into new tax stuff. And it started in December. I hired a tax strategy company in about October last year, and December it was like, okay, we got to get this done, we got to get this done. We have the deadline of December 31st. We got to get this. And then they found problems. And it was, okay, now we really have a big deadline of like, we have to get this turned around and fixed in this kind of time. And it was like, and so I'm looking forward to the first of the year where I can breathe again. First of the year comes and it's like, okay, by the 6th we need this, and by the 10th we need, and by the, I was like, I thought this went away until the 15th of April. What are you doing? Oh, and we need this, and we need an extension. I'm like, it's January 9th. You need an extension? Yeah. Is that because we are doing an amendment for 21? Yeah. Okay. And then I panicked again because a couple of weeks ago was the S-Corp filing deadline, and I qualified as an S-Corp last year, I thought. And so I was like, do you guys get everything that you needed? Because they wanted it by the 28th. And I had questions, and so I didn't even get on a call with anybody until like the 5th of March to ask the questions, to get the answers so that I could get them what they needed. And then the S-Corp deadline shows up like in the middle of March, and I'm like, did you get what you needed? Oh, that's why we filed the extension. I thought you said it was because the amendment to 21. Okay. And so January was like dominated by just expanding into this new level of income. Like, it's fantastic. There's so many perks to 5-figure months. It's fantastic, and yet I didn't get told about the tax end of things. I didn't get told about the strategy piece. I didn't get told, hi Erica, so glad you're here. I didn't get told about the team that I would need. I knew I would need more team, but I didn't realize it was going to look like it did. When I think team, it's like somebody I can call on the phone. Well, my tax strategy people, I can't call on the phone. I have to use a forum or email. And recently when I tried to email, it was like, our company is expanding and we do everything in the forum now. I was like, okay. And the app for the forum doesn't work on my phone anyway. And so it's demanding that I go sit at the desktop in order to make something happen on the forum. And it just got to the point where I was like, I can't. And so I don't remember if it was middle of February or beginning of March. I had to ask my husband, I was like, you have got to start checking my email and taking care of anything you see from this, and this, because I can't do it. And there was something that had been sitting there for like 5 days a couple of weeks ago. I was like, you've got to go just take care of it for me. He had been plowing, sleeping, or moving rocks because it's rockfall season here too. And he hadn't had space, and I was just like terrified to go open it and see the next thing that they wanted from me. And it's not bad. It's just that usually I need so much more clarification, and I'm fried by the time I'm sitting down to do it that I'm just exasperated. And so I had to ask him, I'm like, you have got to help me. He's like, yeah, I will absolutely help you. And so he did, like, absolutely fantastic. You need to sign this. And he scanned it and took care of it. You need to take care of this. Like, not take care of, but like, we need this, this, and this. Can you get it for me? And I will put it through the system. Thank you so much. Yes, I can get those things for you if I don't have to fight with the system. I can do that. And so this was all expansive to me growing into that income level. And then a couple of weeks ago, because like I said, he'd been plowing or moving rocks or sleeping, I said, there's been something sitting there blinking at me for, a couple of days. Will you please look at it and take care of it? Yeah, sure. And then he starts laughing at me. I was like, what? Everything that happened in December, the deadlines in January, the get this, and then I don't even know what this is, so then I have to get an appointment on Zoom to ask the questions of what this is in order to get this, in order to put it through, in order for them to come back and say that's not what I needed. So I have to get on Zoom again to get an answer so that I get what they needed. Like 2.5-ish months of that, I was so terrified to open those emails that when he checked that one, he starts laughing. I'm like, what? Like, I cry basically anytime I open anything from them. What? He said, you had PTSD? You were afraid to open that? And all she said was, thank you. Yeah? So? It's not usually thank you. It's usually something else. But I did it. Like, I have expanded into this. And I checked some of it today, and it was like, okay, I do not have space for it right now. I'll have Cody help me with it later, but it wasn't the same visceral reaction that it would have been a month ago. And so it's healing. We're growing. It's okay. We're going to be fine. And this is good. But it's necessary to expand into this, because if you don't expand into it, you shut down. And when you shut down, you either stagnate or you go backwards. And so that was December, January, most of February. February 12th, the night of February 13th, I woke up to the loss of my Facebook and my Instagram. Okay. What are you going to do, Sarah? Can you be safe without your number one and really number two platforms? At that point, TikTok was freaking flying for me, so Instagram may have been like they were neck and neck for number two. But what are you gonna do without number one platform? Well, what is the next move? It wasn't freak out, it wasn't panic, it wasn't throw things, it wasn't cry, it wasn't curl up in the closet and hide. It was, what's the next move? And it was to dispute it. They didn't like the dispute because things had been done on it by a hacker that I hadn't done that were obviously against community standards. And so a bot checked it and was like, no, this decision is final. You can't have your account back. And so when the decision was final, it was like, okay, now we can release everything you've been holding for the last, by then it was about 36 hours. I did cry. And there was that moment of panic of like, who do I talk to? How do I fix this? And I sent the email, the only one that I knew to send, to have somebody to talk to that could potentially tell me who to talk to fix it. They couldn't. Somebody else actually, though, in my network was like, you may try this. And so that's actually what we're still working with right now. But it was like, okay, she's getting a handle on the tax stuff. At that point, I think I had asked Cody to help me. I'm not sure. She's invested. She sought help. Cody. So here's the next one. Let's throw her this curveball and let's see what happens. And this curveball is multifaceted. In the featured post at the top of the group, you can go through module 4 of Vortex. And it will tell you exactly why my accounts were deactivated. And it's not because somebody hacked them. It's why somebody hacked them. And it's not a security thing. It's nothing like that. It's energetics. And that was a freaking cool thing to unpack. It was so awesome. So if you want to know that side of it, go through module 4 of Vortex. But the duality of it was that it was the energetic piece that's in module 4 of Vortex, and it was also, curveball. Can you be safe? Your nervous system is on high alert anytime you get an email from the tax strategy company or the accounting company or the bookkeeping company or QuickBooks. So, curveball. Can you handle it? Yeah, I can. I can grow through it. I can expand into it. And there were multiple other things that had happened. February, I was teaching Module 1 of Mindful Motherhood, and my boys were where they were not supposed to be. And I was like, okay, we can expand. I'm going to teach Module 1 of Mindful Motherhood, and this is going to happen. Okay, we can expand. I can hold the container for this. I can do this. That was the same week I was teaching Vortex, and it was just like one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. And I was like, okay, I can expand. I can do this. I can be in my Vortex, and I can still teach. And so this morning, it was just like totally on point for how 2023 is expanding and growing me to wake up with very minimal sleep, with puking child, with a sore throat myself, and say, you could cancel. You could. But you only do that if your kids are not cared for. Will they be cared for at 2 o'clock when you're supposed to be live? Yeah, my husband will be here. Are you sick? Not enough. Like, it's sore. I got water. I'll be good. Okay. Can you expand? While you're teaching expansion? Yep, I sure can. I can do it. I took a course in we're going to go with that. I took a course in like November-ish of 2021 from somebody who's very big in the industry. It was Melanie. And it rang so true. And apparently a lot of people took that course and tried to like put their own spin on it, and they were actually doing a disservice. So even though I'm in the AFE right now, I can't even go back and rewatch that course. I'm kind of sad about that. But the core piece that I walked away from that course with was that you can tell Creator, you can tell Universe, you can pray for, you can visualize, you can manifest the desire that you have, whether it's a financial one, whether it's a physical one, whether it's a house, a trip, a partner. You can put the desire out there. You can actively be manifesting it, and you will not receive it if you can't hold it. My spin on this is that I genuinely do think that Creator knit the desires of your heart into you. You want a 6,000 square foot house. It's not greedy. It's not worldly. It's not materialistic. There's a reason that He wants you to hold that kind of wealth that can have a 6,000 square foot house. Because someone who has a 6,000 square foot house also has enough overflow to give. And give abundantly to things that He wants given to. And normally I don't say He with Creator because I don't think Creator is a He. I think Creator is a she and a he. Masculine and feminine. But that's a different conversation. You don't have that desire in you out of greed. You don't have it in you out of vengeance. And if you do, you know it. But if it's just there and it's just tap, 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 tap. It's just a part of you, and it doesn't matter how many years go by, and it doesn't matter how many changes in your life happen. It doesn't matter who your partner is or isn't. It doesn't matter how many partners there have been. That desire is still there. It was knit into you for a purpose. And every step you take, every problem, I had a coach, it was a mom coach in 21. She said, there are no problems, there's only opportunities. And I don't know if that was her quote or somebody else's, but I loved it. You can go ahead and drop that in the comments. There are no problems, only opportunities. And when I started to see everything through that lens, expansion became my middle name. Everything was an opportunity to expand. And so if you can walk through life and you can see every problem as an opportunity, you can see every obstacle as an opportunity to expand, every problem as an opportunity to grow, every problem as an opportunity to reach that next level version of you, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then you'll be at the place where the 6,000 square foot house is a thing. That's how you get there. But the thing about Creator, and I covered this in detail last year between That's a Vibe and Energetic Escort last year, and it was a very different course this year, by the way, which is why they are both in resonance. All three of those programs are in resonance. Creator's not going to give you the desires of your heart if you're not ready to hold it, because it'll slip through your fingers. You'll lose it again. And it actually sets you up for failure. It sets you up for pain. And Creator is not someone who's going to set you up to fail. Someone who's going to set you up to have pain. That's not how he operates. It's not how Creator operates. And so what I took away from that course, what I really heard, the core of it was like, okay, if you want $100,000 months, you have to learn how to hold $10,000 months. What? I can hold it. Give me 10 grand. I'm good. No. Because there's $10,000 month size problems that come with $10,000 months. What problems could possibly come with $10,000 months? At that point, I was doing good to make $2 grand a month. And I was freaking happy. What problems could possibly come with $10,000 months that $10,000 months couldn't handle? Are you serious? And here I am at 5-figure months, back to back to back to back to back since August. I skipped February. I had an $8,000 month in February. And 2 weeks of it, I was gone. So I'm like, that's still pretty good. I was gone for 2 weeks. And now that I'm there, it's like, oh, yep, there's definitely problems that come with $10,000 months. Okay, that $10,000 months don't necessarily take care of. It's the tax team that I do have to pay, and so $10,000 months don't actually feel like I have, it's not the equivalent of having $10,000 in the bank. That's not what it is. It's, okay, I need the strategy company, which is $7,500 a year, if I pay in full. Excuse me, if I don't, it's a lot more. Excuse me. So that goes out so that they can take care of paying my kids legally. They can do all the paperwork for that, so I don't have to worry about it. So that I can do legally rent my house from myself. So that they take care of the paperwork so that I'm legally doing it. So that this other thing can happen, so that this other thing can happen, so that this other thing can happen. So $10,000 months aren't exactly 10 grand in the bank account. That's not quite what that looks like. It's, you need a bookkeeping team if you're going to file as an S Corp, because you can't do it yourself legally. You have to have somebody else that's been providing profit and loss statements for you. Okay, so that's like $400 a month. And that's just the bookkeeping team. If you want a tax preparer that understands the coaching industry to do your taxes and not fight with you over the fact that you spent $30,000 last year on personal development, because that happened last year. She's like, you spent $28,000 on personal development? I was like, well, it was business development so that it can be a write-off. Okay, well, what was the university? I was like, there wasn't any university. Did you get a certificate? No. What's the accreditation? I said, there is no accreditation. Okay, I can't write that off. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me right now. She doesn't understand business development. She doesn't understand the coaching industry. And so she's not doing my tax prep this year. The people that are, it's about triple the price. And so these are the $10,000 month size problems that I get to grow and expand into. And if I don't do this, I don't lay this foundation, if I'd just gone from $2,000 months to $50,000 months, I will then have $50,000 size problems, but there would have been no expansion into emotional intelligence so that I can hold the $50,000 month size problems. If you'd thrown those curveballs at me in January and I didn't have the previous $40,000 worth of personal development, business development, emotional intelligence, growth, expansion, help, having somebody come in and help me as my team, even if it is just my husband. If I just gone from $2,000 months to 50 between, and those were the curveballs coming in January, I've been curled up in a ball in the middle of my closet going, rocking back and forth, sucking my thumb going, I can't do this. I can't do this. Don't go away. Nobody said it was going to be like this. Nobody said. I never said yes to this. No. This is why we have the step and the next step and the next step and the next step. I'm so glad, Erica. I'm so glad that you needed to hear this. Because as you get the next step, it's just enough for you to pull up your big girl panties and say, I can expand into this. It's not so much that it's going to break me. You think about like psychological breakings, people that have been tortured and they have to retreat into whatever safe space in their mind that they can come up with. And they are literally rocking back and forth, sucking their thumb in the only safe space in their mind that they can find. If you don't have integral, if you don't have stepping stones, I'm having a hard time with words today. If you don't have a step to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, you will end up retreating to that place in your mind, and it's not even torture, it's what you asked for. Well, you asked for 50K months, here you go. Why are you rocking back and forth? That's what you asked for. I don't know how to handle this. Oh, you want to go back to 10? Do you want to expand into 20? And into 50? Because you can probably go pretty easily from 25 to 50. Like, if your growth game is strong, if you have done the work from 0 to 25, it gets easier. It gets easier. You already know that you have to have the team in place, and by the time you're at 25K months, it's like, okay, I have to have the team in place. I have to pay for the team that I'm going to need for 50K months before the 50K months are going to come. And so again, it's not 25K in the bank account. It's going back out to team so that you can handle the 50K months when they show up. It's making that energetic, it's taking an energetic step towards the thing that you desire before it makes sense. If you wait until you're having 50K months to hire the team that you're gonna have to have in place in order to handle the 50K months, the 50K months will never come. Or it'll happen once, you'll end up broke crying in the corner, not like broke no money, like broken crying in the corner, never wanting it again. But if at 25K months you can say, okay, we're expanding into 50K months, I need team in place, this is the team I need in place. And you go ahead and hire it forward thinking, that 50K month could be the next month, literally. The same is true going from 5 to 10. The same is true going from 2 to 5. You take that next step so that you can expand into whatever the thing is that you're asking for and have the support already in place so that you aren't broken crying in the corner. This is where that mindset shift has to happen. There are no problems, there's only opportunities. Seriously, there's 5 emails today from this company. They want more stuff from me. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. You asked for this. This is growth. This is expansion. You got this. Maybe you have the team next to you. Cody's sitting right here, opening it with me, going through it with me. Or maybe he's doing it by himself and then saying, here, sign this. That's team. That's somebody there to help so that you can hold it. You have the mentor in place that you can get on the phone with and be like, oh my gosh, this year has looked like this, and this. And instead of saying, maybe you should quit, the mentor says, guess what's coming? It's going to be so good. The way you handled those accounts, it's going to be so good. You're so smart. You're doing all the things. You're in the right spaces. You just get to grow into holding more. You just get to grow into holding more. You just get to grow into holding more. Yeah, Amy, your job now, your husband now has a job that is legit and he gets paid for it. We're working towards him getting paid for it. Right now he's still the secretary. That's really hard to say. It's much easier to type. We've joked about that when, he does get on payroll and it's like, so what's his job description? It's like, services rendered. That's a conversation for In the Mood. That's a conversation for In the Mood. Anyway, so when you ask for these things, whatever it is, maybe it's the house, maybe it's the man, maybe it's the woman, maybe it's the baby. You have to be willing to expand into it, because the current version of you would already have the thing if you were ready to hold it. The thing that's between you and the desire is the growth process to be able to hold the desire. Are you willing to expand through the growth process to receive the desire? And the thing is that our whole life is like this. Our whole life is like this. But such a vast majority of the population never grasps this. And so they go their whole life wanting this, and seeing a problem, and seeing another problem, and seeing another problem. And they still want this, but they see another problem, and they see another problem, and they see another problem, and they don't grow through it. They don't choose to expand through it. Therefore, they never get any closer. And eventually, after so long of wanting this, and seeing a problem, and seeing a problem, and seeing a problem, they say, well, that's never going to happen. And they just quit seeing it at all, and they stay here, or they even go backwards. When I had littles at home, I still have littles at home. When I had 2 at home, and I had postpartum depression, and I had crippling grief, and I had postpartum anxiety, and I had suicidal depression, there was about an 18-month time frame in there that it was like that. But honestly, it came and went for 5 years. It was crippling for 18 solid months in 15 and 16, but it came and went for 5 years, from when my oldest was born until summer of 16. So 2012 to summer of 16. I craved stasis. And I put this in a post yesterday, but we're going to expand on it. I craved stasis. I craved things to be the same. High school, I ran my butt ragged out of a trauma response. It was safer for me to be in every extracurricular and studying my butt off at school and being at school possibly until 10 o'clock at night and being back at school at 6:30 in the morning, because it was safer for me to be at school than it was for me to be at home. And so I just put myself into every extracurricular and I busted my butt for my A's, and that was my validation that needed to be coming from myself, not a piece of paper. Didn't know that, didn't have anyone else in my world that knew that to tell me. So my entire high school experience was a trauma response. I'll be in this, I'll get validated for this, I'll be in this, I'll get validated for this, and I'll be safe from home. And I'll get this, and I'll be validated for that, and I'll be safe from home. Looking like a hamster wheel? And so by the time I graduated, I was set to go to university for, if I'd busted my butt like I had in high school, it would have been a 4-year stay. If I backed it off a little bit, it would have been 5, which would have been the wise move. Multiple things happened that summer between graduation and when I was supposed to go to university. Multiple things. One of them was my aunt at 42 or 43 was killed in a car accident. No children. She was 6 weeks away from completing her clinicals. She'd already graduated in May, from completing her clinicals to be a nurse practitioner, with a mountain of debt. I met who is now my husband I met him about a week after I buried her. I met him 3 days after his wife of 7 years left. And I was reflecting back on how stressed and strained my high school years were, and I could not do another 4, never mind 5 or 6, out of state. At that point, out of state sounded fantastic because it was away from home. But the debt that I would accrue, looking at hers when she died at 42 or 43, I don't remember. Looking at hers, looking at the 4 or 5 year degree in front of me, looking at the stress that I had gone through in high school, and there were medical problems to back it up, and nobody once said stress. Not that it would have changed anything because it was trauma response. It was keeping me safe, literally keeping me safe. I had to stay in the trauma response to be safe. And the side effect was stress, presenting as what looked like an ulcer but wasn't once we did the scope. At 17. And I was like, I can't do it. And so through a series of creator orchestrated events that I'm not going to go into in this, I will someday, I found myself in trade school, more local, about an hour and a half from home. And it's amazing how few family members you can see when you're only 90 minutes from home. It's amazing. But it was still a stressful environment because I worked from 8 to 4:30 with an hour-long lunch, which was just absurd to me, coming from ranch life. It's like, no, you don't take an hour-long lunch. You eat and you go back to work, and then you get off sooner. But no, you aren't allowed to do that. In retail, you take an hour-long lunch. It was so weird. Anyway, and I'm still talking about how weird this was. And so I'm working 8 to 4:30. I'm catching a cat nap if I can, and I'm going to school from 6 to 11 at night. I don't know how I survived it. Like, I survived it because my adrenals were on overload, but they'd already been on overload for the previous 4 years. I think I survived it because I wasn't at home anymore, and so that piece of the stress and the strain that had been present the previous 4 years went into the lack of sleep. I was like, okay, this part's removed, so the extra effort that we were putting to that, we can put into the fact that she's not sleeping and keep her going. It's only a year. We'll be okay. And so then I get married at 19. I get pregnant at 22. I deliver at 22. And then I have this thing that is technically postpartum depression that I've never heard of before. Don't go to a doctor to get diagnosed for. Deal with on my own. Is at the height at the 4-month sleep regression stage. The only time I have ever genuinely considered getting a divorce from my husband. And I was someone who went into marriage saying I'm not going to get divorced because I've watched my mom get divorced multiple times. I'm not doing that. Not a healthy place to make that decision from, but that's what it was at that point. And so I don't know that I have postpartum anxiety. I don't know that I have postpartum depression. I just know that I can't function. I can't leave the house without my husband with a baby. But I had to on Monday because I had to take him to my mom so she could watch him so that I could go to work, so that I could come back and pick him up. And there was a couple of times that on autopilot, I came home, got home and was like, I forgot to go pick him up, which I had to go past my house to go get him anyway. So it's not like I was that much behind in picking him up, but that's the state that I was in. And then Tuesdays, my mother-in-law had him and she was right next door. So it wasn't as bad, but it was not fun. Anything extra by the time I had 2 babies, and then you put me in the grief and the suicidal depression of 15 and 16, the previous 10 years of my life had been so stress covered. My nervous system so out of whack, my adrenals working overtime so much that you could not ask me to make a decision about anything. Cody'd ask, do you want this car seat or this car seat? And I'd start crying. Like, I don't have time to do the research to know which one's better. Will you please do it for me? And he's like, I don't know. They're both on the market. They should be fine. And then it would send me into his tailspin because I knew they were both on the market, and technically it should be fine. And also, there's definitely a better one out there. Which one has a better safety rating? I don't know. Go read the reviews. I don't have time to go read the reviews right now. And then I get in this rabbit hole looking for the best car seat and have analysis paralysis, not be able to do anything. That was on the days I could actually go do the research. And those were few and far between. There were days I just had to shut down and be like, I don't know. There is no way that version of me could have handled a $10,000 month and everything that comes with it. Zero. And while that feels like it would have been super helpful at that point, because I could have afforded the vitamins that would have helped, I could have afforded the therapy that would have helped, I couldn't handle everything else that would have come with it. And so you stay down here. You stay at that point it was about $3,000 months coming through my husband. I guess it was a little bit more than that because I was still working 2 days a week at that point. Let's call it 4, 5, maybe. It was about 4. And in that place, I couldn't leave the house more than I had to during the week. So I would go to work on Monday. I would go to work on Tuesday. I had to have Wednesday at home. Please don't ask me to go anywhere Thursday or Friday. Sunday, we're going to have to go to church. Oh, if you make me leave on Friday, I'm going to be a mess. I'm just going to be a mess. I've got to have more stasis in my life. That's how overwrought my nervous system was. It was like a rag doll just being tossed from one wave to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. There was no space to grow. There was no space to expand. I didn't even understand the concept. I had no idea that I was giving opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity. But at that point, I was so in survival mode that I just had to get tossed to the next wave and hope I could keep my head above water, and get tossed to the next wave and hope I could keep my head above water. The day I figured out that lack of sleep was the biggest thing that made me feel like that rag doll was so transformative. So transformative. But even then, I still couldn't afford the help on days where I didn't get good sleep so that I could go take a nap. A nanny has been incredible. Incredible. Because I can have a night where I don't sleep well, and I know she'll be here, and my work days are such that if I needed to throw a nap in there, I could. I absolutely could now. Like, I can function so much better because I can afford a nanny. But there's the middle space in there that you have to grow through to be able to get to the point of affording the nanny. It started with a high school girl 3 hours a week just so I could deliver. Like, she would get here and I was live 2 minutes later, and I was live for the full 3 hours in some capacity or another. I might have been recording reels. I may have been live on my personal page, live in the group I was delivering in, live in my free group, but I was live those whole 3 hours, making the most of that 3 hours that I had. Now it's like 27 hours a week. So much spaciousness. It's amazing. Had I been able to hear this, and there's people that need to hear this content, people that are in my world that even said, ooh, that sounds like me, that need to hear this content that won't even be able to listen to it because the energetic frequency is so misaligned. Had I been able to hear this content when I was that rag doll being thrown all over the place, I don't think I could have implemented much of it. I had to grow into a place where I could receive it and then implement it. But the things, for those of you that are watching that do need this and you feel like that rag doll, the things I wish I would have known in 15 and 16 are the reset of the vagus nerve. It would have helped tremendously, and I'm going to break that down for you real quick. So your vagus nerve is back in here. It's connected to your adrenals, which are right above your kidneys. And this is the stuff that pumps out adrenaline. Your adrenals pump out the adrenaline that keep you running when you're constantly in a trauma response. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. When you reset your vagus nerve, it pulls you out of that trauma response. It may be brief, because at that point, all that had to happen was like, and I be back in a trauma response. Like, it didn't take much to put me back in a trauma response, but had I known this, I could have been doing this immediately and resetting and resetting and resetting throughout the day instead of needing sleep in order to reset. So, number 1, cold water. You can be in the shower and just like pop your face into cold water, or you can not be in the shower and just like slap your face with cold water from the sink. It resets this vagus nerve. Your gag reflex. Like, take a toothbrush. This is the box from a toothbrush. Oh, there's a toothbrush in it. Look at that. Take a toothbrush. Do it like 5 times every time you want to reset your vagus nerve. If I could have been doing those 2 things off and on throughout the day, I don't think I would have been a ragdoll for so many months, for 18 months straight. I think I would have been able to heal a whole lot faster. As it was, I had to wait for my kids to get a little bit bigger so that we were sleeping more, so that I could catch up on sleep, so that the sleep could be the reset, so that I could start to feel normal again, so that I could start to heal, so that. And that doesn't mean you don't need sleep. You still need sleep, obviously. But these things can help you reset on a day that's just like tossing you everywhere. The next thing is laying on your back on the floor and putting your legs up the wall, 15 to 20 minutes. My house is such that it's actually hard to find a wall that you can do that to, but a door will work. Just lock it so somebody doesn't, run you over from the other side of it or something like that. And my kids would do it together. We'd lay there with book, read the book together, and I would set a timer for 15 to 20 minutes. Other things that I did was I would listen to high hertz music, like 452 megahertz music on YouTube. I would listen to the Psalms. I couldn't read them. I couldn't sit there and actually read them, but I could listen to them. And they're all over YouTube. You can find hours of somebody just reading Psalms. Those are the things that I knew to do, was the hertz and the Psalms. It would be like 3 or 4 more years before I would learn the vagus nerve reset pieces of the gag, the water, and the legs up the wall. Tremendously helpful, because once you can reset that vagus nerve and you're no longer in a trauma response, you can actually start to see the problem as the opportunity to expand. When you're in the trauma response, all you have is the problem and the indecision of like, I don't know. Don't ask me, I don't know. But when you can pull yourself out of that place of the trauma response and put yourself into a place of, this is a problem, I may not know the answer, but it is an opportunity to expand. It may take team, it may take an app, it may take prayer, it may take time, it may take me bleeding on it. Cycle Syncing Coach in the house. It may take finding a mentor for this particular area of my life and asking them. It may take some research. But it's no longer a problem that freezes you into another trauma response. It's a problem that you can flip into an opportunity to expand. And so I'm super curious. Drop it in the comments for me, replay or not. Drop it in the comments for me. What problems have you encountered in the last 2 weeks, maybe month, that now in hindsight you can be like, I wish I could have seen that as an opportunity to expand, and now I get to. Drop it in the comments for me. I need water. Checking my bullet points here real quick. And so the next piece of this is that if you want to actually begin to see the problem as an opportunity, it takes choosing you. When I was that ragdoll, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Ooh, Amy, meal planning and exhaustion. I wanted somebody to come fix it. I desperately just wanted somebody to come fix it. Tell me what the answer is. Tell me what to do. Just come fix it. I didn't have the currency to have an appropriate energetic exchange to even begin to have somebody come in and fix it. But that's all I could wrap my head around. Just somebody else come fix it. I wasn't able to choose myself at that point because I did not have a handle on my own self-worth. Daily, I was choosing to be a martyr to my family. I have kids that were up last night, but now they're awake and I have to be up and I have to make the meal from scratch. Because they need this, 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 and this for nutrition, and I can't afford the vitamins, so it has to be this way, and it has to, 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 and it has to. There wasn't the grace that I was actually worth the nap that they were. There wasn't the grace that I also was worth the vitamins they were. Had I had at least that, the understanding that I was worth the vitamins too, the understanding that I was worth the high nutrition too, the understanding that I was worth the going to bed early or the taking the nap when they did too, I think things would have been different. Maybe not dramatically so, but I didn't have that measure of self-worth. Amy says, and sometimes good enough has to be perfect. And yet, is there anything perfect? Are you worth the nap? Are you worth the nutrition? Are you worth the vitamins? Right now, in this moment, can you honestly say yes to every single question that I just asked you? And if you can't, you get to expand into that. You get to find opportunities where you are worth the nap. Instead of, no, I can still get this, and this done, it's maybe it's big on your refrigerator or in your mirrors or on every door in your house. There are no problems, just opportunities. And under it, are you worth, and leave a blank spot so that it's constantly going in. Am I worth the nap instead of trying to get all the laundry folded? I'm looking at 2 baskets of clean laundry 5 feet away from me. 5-figure month earner. That hasn't changed in 6 years. Because I choose to take the nap instead of fold the laundry. The laundry's clean. Our hygiene is covered. Our health is covered as far as that is concerned. I'm not perfect. I'm showing up here on little sleep today, and I told you at the front. I'm showing up here with a sore throat today, and I told you at the front. I'm not perfect. I've never been able to be perfect. And a few years ago got over trying to present the facade that I was. And then my income started going up. Amazing how that's connected, eh? I own my self-worth that it didn't need to be perfect in order to be worthy. They are not synonymous. So if I'm made in the image of Creator, which I am, if you can say yes to that, is Creator infinitely worthy? Yeah. And if you're made in that image, are you infinitely worthy? And so are you worthy of the nap instead of folding the laundry? Because I guarantee the laundry will still be there. Is it clean? Fantastic. Maybe you start the washer before you go lay down. Are you worthy of somebody helping you for just 3 hours a week? I paid her $14 an hour in 2021. Yeah. $14 an hour, 3 hours a week, out of an emergency fund in 2021. So that I could show up and deliver things on camera without my kid on my back. And that still happened on occasion, but she was always asleep when that happened. Are you worthy of going to bed at 8:30 instead of 11? Are you worthy to expand into the next piece of nutrition that you can? Like, maybe it's not the full-blown, amazing happy juice drink, but maybe it's the next piece. Maybe it's B vitamins. Yeah, I can buy the B vitamins. I can't get the awesome juice pack thingy, but the B vitamins. I can get the B vitamins. Get the B vitamins. I can't buy the grounding sheet, but I can go stick my feet on the earth, even if they're numb after 2 minutes. I have a peer. We've been in each other's worlds for a couple of years, and we talk and bounce stuff off of each other. It's like a business bestie. And she Marco'd me the other day, and she Marco'd me her feet walking in grass. And I think latitudinally she's farther north than I am. And I was like, wow, it's too wet and cold for me to do that here. She's like, yeah, my feet were getting numb. It's like, oh, that's next level grounding, babe. I will go lay on my grounding sheet. But if you can't afford a $100 grounding sheet at this season, you get to expand into it, but you're still worth 2 minutes freezing your feet off outside for the benefit of grounding. Sarah says, the going to bed early, I need that one. Yeah. And it's cyclical. Like, there is a time you need to prioritize that going to bed early, and there's another time where you can probably get away with staying up till 11. That's what I banked on last night, and then somebody was puking it too. Shouldn't have banked on that, eh? But it was an appropriate time in my cycle where I can get away with it, if the rest of the night goes as planned. I wouldn't do that at just any point in my cycle. I would not stay up reading a novel like that. Just wouldn't do it. Because I have enough self-worth to not put myself through that. Because I know it would have been awful. Yes, Erica, laundry is always there. Rebecca says, I went out under the stars barefooted for 2 minutes the other night, and my toes were very cold, but my soul was refreshed. I love it. 17? I think it was 17. I went outside under every full moon of 17, I think it was. No, it was 18, because it started, I think it was 2017 that the full moon coincided with the winter solstice. And so it was every full moon of 2018. I went outside at night and laid. And there was one night that it was like, I laid in the field, and it was like crispy grass, frozen crispy grass that I'm laying on, just staring at the moon. Other nights I would go hug, we have a big old cottonwood tree, I would go hug it. Yes, hashtag tree hugger. I would go hug it and just ground because it was the dead of winter and I wasn't going to go put my feet on the ground because I can't do that. But it's like a grounding rod, a tree is. And so I would go get my skin in contact with it because it's like a grounding rod straight into the earth. So that was how I would ground with the moon at those, in that season when I was doing that. And I think that was actually integral to healing also. I really do. Good, Amy. She got a couple supplements to help her with her blood pressure. Good. Good, 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 babe. So it takes being able to see your self-worth and choose you. It takes owning your personal power to be able to see that, to choose you. So often, and this is something that you get to grow through. Like I said, in high school, I was doing all the things seeking the outside validation. Oh, look at that report card. Isn't it amazing? She got A's. The outside validation is what made me feel seen. And that was actively giving away my personal power to something outside of me. Like, yeah, I did the thing so that I can have you validate me for having done the thing, which is me giving my personal power away to you because you may or may not validate me for having done the thing. And if you don't, I don't have enough inside of me to give me what I need. And this is part of where like Vortex really comes in. So if you haven't been through the Vortex training, it's in the pinned featured post at the top of the group. So please go back through it. But this is where the Vortex can come in of like, in high school, I needed outside validation because I couldn't give it to myself. I'd never been taught to give it to myself. I didn't know how to give it to myself. And so I needed outside validation. And so I needed to bust my butt in order to do something worthy of outside validation. You see, so much is askew here. There's no self-worth. There's no self-validation. And this continued for over a decade. And then I had a coach that regularly would tell me, you have to be able to give yourself what you need. Like, what do you need and how can you give it to yourself? What do you need and how can you give it to yourself? What do you need and how can you give it to yourself? And so I became really good at telling myself what I needed and giving it to myself. What do you need? I actually need water. Okay, go get it. Check. What do you need? You know, I really do need more sleep. Go to bed. Okay, it's only 8. Go to bed. What do you need? I really need some praise. Okay, what do you want to hear? And then I praised me. And so there was a couple of years of that, learning that I actually could do it for myself. And that was the vortex piece of this. So the one side is, I need outside validation, I need outside validation, I need outside validation. Into the vortex, you get to give it to yourself. You get to be your own worth. You get to be your own validation. And then on the other side of the vortex, after you've healed through the vortex and you've learned that you can, from an empowered place now, you can ask for external validation, but you don't need it. There's a big difference between here and here. This is need. Healed through, know I can give it to myself, and from an empowered place, I can ask for it from the outside, but I don't need it from the outside. It lands so different. It lands so different when somebody tells me now, whether it's in Messenger, whether it's in the comments here, whether it's in a post inside of FemPower, which I love, by the way, saying how something that I said resonated, saying how it changed a trajectory, saying just a testimony of any of my work. It lands so different here than it did over here. At the beginning of my business, I needed it. I needed it to keep going. And then I got to a place where I could give it to myself. And now I can receive it with absolute joy, empowerment, unattachment because I don't need it, but it just gets to be that, it's not even the icing on the top, it's the cherry on top of the icing on the top. That feels amazing. But it took going through that vortex process. So on one side of the vortex, there's something that's disempowered. You heal through it so that on the other side, the same thing, it can look like the exact same thing, but the energetic signature on it is empowered versus disempowered. I hope this is landing. This is so not where we were going today, or at least not where I thought we were going, but hey, it works. And we are almost 90 minutes in. Amazing! Amazing! Speaking from my womb space. Okay. I think we're going to save this one for tomorrow. So remember that self-worth piece. Remember that external validation piece. That's owning your personal power. When you can start to see what you need and give it to yourself, that's owning your personal power instead of giving it away to somebody else saying, can you give it back, please? 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 Because there's no guarantee that they're going to give it back. There's no guarantee you're going to get the validation that you desire to have when you've put so much effort into the grade so that somebody else can tell you you did good. If you're going to put the effort into the grade, it needs to be, and you grow into this, you expand into this, that you can be super proud of the effort that you put in regardless of the grade. It's not the grade then. It's the, I gave it my best, and I'm proud of me for giving it my best. It doesn't matter if it was a C or if it was an A at that point, or an F. Did I give it my best? And if so, I can be proud of me. I can be proud of me. I am going to talk about a couple of offers. So if you feel complete with the training, we are finished with the training. You're free to go if you would like. I do want to tell you a couple of ways that you can deepen into my world. And I love that Amy mentioned exhaustion and meal prep here a second ago. Because April's course is time flow. Tell me in the comments If you have ever taken a time management course, Franklin Planner course, a time management course, get a giant calendar and block things out and look for white space course, anything like that. Sarah says yes. Amazing. Okay. How did it work? Did it work well? Did it go smooth? How long ago did you start it? Is it still going smooth? We are a quarter of the way into 2023. And this is where a lot of people start off the year gonna be more organized, right? Gonna be more organized. And so they buy the planner, or they buy the pens, or they buy the whiteboard, or they buy the time management system, you know, like a whole training on disk of some kind, probably digital now, that, you know, is going to teach you how to use this thing. And you also need the pens and the planner and the whiteboard and it goes all right for a little while. And then by the time Q1 is done, it's like, not using that anymore. And it's not using that from a conscious place. It's actually guilt. It's, I paid for that. I got that. I set that up. And I only used it for a couple of weeks. And now it's just staring at me, guilt tripping me every time I see it. Have you ever had this experience, or is this just me? Obviously, I've done this, right? There's enough emotion here that I've obviously done this. And so, I think it was 2017. Wow, I did a lot in 17. I did a lot of healing in 2017. But I got a time management system and I was going to make it work for me. And it sucked. Like, I'll be honest, it was horrible. It made me feel horrible. It made me feel guilty. It made me feel like apparently something was wrong with me because this $1 million earner that made the program that I bought could obviously implement it, and everybody else in the room that bought it could obviously implement it. I can't. How am I ever going to get to be a $1 million earner if I can't even implement the tool that they all use to be a $1 million earner? At that point, I had not owned my self-worth. It was already, pretty low at that point, and that just, plummeted it a little bit further because, I can't make this thing work. And I'm an excellent, stellar student. I can't make this thing work for me. And that was jiving with when I learned about cycle syncing. I learned about cycle syncing in the beginning of 2017, and it feels like it was about June of 2017 that I tried to implement this system. But I wasn't marrying the two of them. I wouldn't marry the two of them for a few years. But it was when I was able to take what I finally understood through practice. Cycle syncing is something that you can grasp mentally in a course. It's the implementation of it month after month, cycle after cycle, that really makes it feel like it's easy. And it is, because it's you. It's you. You get to stop fighting you when you implement cycle syncing. But it's an entire relearning process because we've been trained to not trust our systematic processes. So it's a process to learn to trust your processes. And so it would be a couple of years before I felt confident in my cycle syncing, and then I was like, maybe if I just run everything through my cycle, the time management system will work. That could be fun. And so I started trying it, and it started working so much more smoothly. I had already been applying it to my business, but I started applying it to other areas of my life. I started applying it to my social calendar. I started applying it to my parenting. I started applying it to my homeschooling. I started applying it to my meal planning and prep. And then I added eating and cooking by my cycle phase, and everything got even more easy. And I was like, nothing was ever broken The system just didn't work with my physiology. How many years did I spend guilty that I couldn't implement a $1 million earner system when the $1 million earner system was trying to override their system over and over and over and over and over and over and over? So in TimeFlow, I'm going to teach you a cycle synced time management system that actually honors your cycle, honors your physiology, honors your body, and bleeding or not, you do have a cycle still. You have an energetic cycle if you've ever had a uterus. You still have an energetic cycle, even if you don't have a uterus, but if you did in the past. And it's, let's see, it's in pre-sale at $555, and I believe that's in pre-sale at $555 through Friday. Probably at about 7 p.m. Eastern. So, if you want to jump in TimeFlow at that pre-sale price of $555, please just jump in Messenger and tell me you want the link, and I will get you the link. I'm so excited for it. There's already 10? I think there's 10 ladies in it already. So that's exciting. So you can come join me for TimeFlow. Next, last week, this is so freaking fun. Last week on Friday, actually last week on Tuesday, so 1 week ago today, I was just like, you know what, this sounds like fun. I'm going to throw it out there. We'll see what happens. This is pieces of my business that get to keep it fun. Spontaneity. I cleaned my front door a couple weeks ago, and y'all have probably heard this story, and had like a $3,600 weekend after we cleaned the front door. And it wasn't even me that cleaned the front door, it was the nanny that cleaned the front door. And then she cleaned her front door, and her partner had a refund come back from the IRS that he did not anticipate coming at all. And I was like, okay, there's something to this front door. And so I just posted about it, and people were like, tell me about the front door, Sarah. And I got to thinking about all of the other things that I have learned to do over the last couple of years that make me an energetic match for money. And so I was like, last Tuesday, I was like, we'll just throw it out. We'll see what happens. I'm going to do this program. It's called Energetic Money Match. It's $55. Who wants in? And right now, there are 20 people in Energetic Money Match. And here's the thing. We had, what was it, Amy? Like a 90-minute course on Friday, I think it was, on the top 10 things. It's not even all the things that I do to be an energetic match for money. During the course, our buyer, we have had our rental property on the market since October. We have had 3 contracts fall through. Technically 4, because the buyer that we currently have a contract with right now had to change his contract a couple of weeks ago. So technically we're on like our 5th contract. But Friday, officially, during that class, he was confirmed to close. And so we closed this Friday. And I'm just like, it happened during Energetic Money Match! And so we got to celebrate that together in Energetic Money Match. Somebody made $20 in the middle of Energetic Money Match. Within a couple of hours after, somebody made like $250. Somebody else found a ring that they had thought was like long gone. Somebody had been asked to do a farm consult, and she's like, I don't even do farm consults. I was like, you better charge appropriately. And like, boom, 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 boom. And all weekend, that group has been hopping with, somebody yesterday, a private client yesterday, I had a call with her yesterday, and she's like, so I cleaned my front door like a week ago, because like before Energetic Money Match, you hadn't even told me why yet, but I just cleaned it, and the money hasn't come. I was like, it's okay, trust. Within like an hour after we get off the call, she's like, it came to the tune of 6 figures. I'm like, heck yes, woman! Yes! And it was just like this all weekend long. I've never, a different client was like, I've never sold something every single day of a weekend before. This is fun. All of this on the back end of Energetic Money Match. So it is open through April 14th. It is only $55. Go ahead and jump into Energetic Money Match and find out all the quirky things that I do. Well, some of them. They're not all there. To be an energetic match for money. It's freaking fun. Thank you, Erica. She said congratulations. Yes. Let's see here. And then I have Womb Mind. So at the beginning of this, I talked about how I finally don't have to have notes. Like this is a single piece of paper with some bullet points on it. I used to have like 11 pages of notes to show up and teach a course that I would hope would reach 90 minutes. I'm pretty sure we're beyond that at this point. It's coming from my womb. Like I show up and I have a general idea of what I'm going to say, and yet about 75% of what I said today I didn't know I was going to say today. Like, I had no idea. It comes now. And it's coming through my womb space. And it's a direct result of healing that womb space. So as women, that is actually the seat of our creativity. It's where any creation comes from. Thanks, Amy. She says we're at 94 minutes. It's where any creation comes from. Whether it's the man that issues from the womb that makes the poetry, or whether it's the woman that makes the poetry. It comes from our seed of creation, which is in our womb as we're made in the image of Creator. But we have enough generational crap. Maybe even it's not generational for you. Maybe it's your trauma that's happened in your womb space, in your pussy space, that has left you scarred. And when that happens, we block. We put a, protective barrier around it, and we're just like, no, this has been hurt once before, or it's been hurt 5 times before, or it's been hurt 50 times before. And so we're just gonna cocoon it so that it can't be hurt anymore. And we shut down the seat of our creativity. And then we try and do everything from our head. Try and write the 11 pages of notes so we can go hopefully teach a 90-minute training that'll be hopefully an over-deliver, but it'll be hopefully something that lands with people that'll hopefully lead to them buying something. And it's all coming from our head. We're seeking knowledge. There was a time 2 years ago, I'm literally Googling things that y'all could Google to try and get another page of notes for a course so that I could show up and feel like I'd actually delivered what people had paid me to deliver. It's really vulnerable to share that. I have not told anybody that before. Because it was all head. There was no just free flow from my womb because my womb was so scarred and marred and hurt. And it wasn't until the spring of 21 that I learned just how deep that scarring and marring and hurting went. My aunt had a hysterectomy for fibroid tumors. I knew my mom had, but I didn't know she had. And she told me that my grandma had also, their mother. And that her mother, my great-grandma, had something female problem-wise. There was not an actual diagnosis for it at that point. So it wasn't just my molestation, grooming, molestation, and rape. It was whatever their stuff was, and whatever their stuff was, and whatever their stuff was, and whatever her stuff was, that had just culminated in my womb. And so everything I did was from an intellectual place. There was a season in high school where I could tap that womb creativity, and it looked like this. It looked like, I have a paper due, I'm busy. I have a paper due, I'm busy. You need to get an A. I have a paper due, but I'm busy. And so I'd set an alarm for 4 a.m. on the day that the paper was due. I would pull a quote, somebody smart, Einstein, Edison, Maya Angelou, somebody. And I would make that my opening sentence and my opening paragraph, and I would write some BS about it, and then I would write a BS paragraph, and write a BS paragraph, and write a BS paragraph, and write a closing paragraph, and end with the quote again. Turn it in, get an A. Pulled that out of my ass, glad nobody knows that. Probably wouldn't have given me an A. And I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again. It was in the place of high stress, no sleep, running on nothing, that I could pull out these papers from what felt like a BS place, and get another A, and get another A, and get another A. It was when this just didn't have any juice to run on that I was actually able to tap my womb, and it was from my womb that those papers were produced. And they were freaking excellent. No longer do I have to starve this in order to activate my womb because I've healed it. I can have this well fed, I can have my body well fed, and I can activate my womb, and I can produce, I can create from that place, and it doesn't feel like BS. It feels like so much fun. It feels like so much freedom. It feels like so much flow. So we are taking a year-long journey into that womb space to do healing work. It is a 12-month commitment. It is $77 per month. That will be going up the end of this week, I believe. So it is $77 right now per month. You will lock that in at $77. So even if it goes up to $111 on Friday and you're locked in at $77 every single month for those 12 months, it will just be $77. It's looking like we're going to have about an hour-long training. I'll endeavor to keep it to an hour every month. And then there will be Q&A immediately following. We're going to play with a couple of different avenues and see what we like the best. We may have open Q&A in Zoom. We may have it in Marco afterwards. We'll see. We're going to probably do both and then decide which one feels best. I will decide which one feels best. But there will be Q&A. So if you're like, okay, I understand what you just delivered in the training, and also I have a question, or also I feel this, or I just need to verbal process this. Like, there will be space for that at the end of it. I'm really excited to see the women that go through this and see where they're at in even 6 months, never mind the year. I genuinely think that if women can heal that seed of creativity, they're going to be open for wealth, and more wealth in the hands of healed women. That's how the world gets healed. Genuinely, truly believe that. So, if you would like to jump into Womb Mind, I would be so honored to have you there. Like I said, it's $77 a month. Just jump in Messenger and say, hey, Sarah, I would like the link for Womb Mind, and I will get it for you. There was something I was missing on that. Oh, I think there's like 11 or 12 even ladies already in there. So, come join us. And then I do have Resonance. So, Resonance is my vault. Yes, Amy, it does multiply exponentially. You're absolutely right. So Resonance is my vault. It's every live program that is less than 6 weeks long for a year. You're instantly on the roster for it. So Time Flow, you're instantly on the roster for. Food Inflow in June, you're instantly on the roster for it. Femme Physique, you're instantly on the roster for it. Anything extra that I decide to throw out there, like Energetic Money Match last week, they were already in. Like, it was. And so you're automatically on the roster for anything that is less than 6 weeks long when you're inside Resonance. The reason I have the 6-week piece is because it would exclude like 75 Femme is in addition to, Womb Mind is in addition to. So just know those couple of things. Also, if there's a collab that I do with someone else, that would be excluded because I have to honor their contract with me, and they need to be able to be paid also. So, but Resonance includes every live program within those parameters for a year. It includes the vault. So if you want to go through Discovered or Money Pot from last year, it's in the vault. There's like 30K worth of programs just sitting in the vault waiting for you to click play. And it's going up all the time as we pull stuff from the hard drive and get it back available to everybody, because a lot of it went away when my accounts did, but we do have backups. It's just a process to get them off the hard drive and re-uploaded into the proper locations. So when they're all back, it'll be over 50K worth of product instantly at your fingertips. Resonance also has a VIP day per month on Marco Polo. So you get to come in to the pod. All of the ladies are in there, and you get to ask questions throughout the day. You have like 7 or 8 hours with me throughout the day to ask questions, to get laser coaching, to say, hey, Sarah, I have this situation. How would you handle it? Like, I'm there for what you desire for that day. We can talk cycles. We can talk business. We can talk moon. We can talk emotional intelligence. We can talk woo. Like, what do you want to talk about? We can talk about it. And so that is $999 per month. It is a 12-month commitment. So know that up front, or you can pay in full for it at $10K if you wanted to. I also have Resonance Gold. So that's everything I just said about Resonance, plus you get one 60-minute one-on-one call with me per month, and that can be brand specific. If there's something that, I don't know, we covered about womb space and healing, and you just don't feel comfortable talking about it in the VIP day with everybody else there, and you want to bring it to me, just you and I have a conversation about it, we absolutely can. If there's intellectual property that's yours that you want to strategize around, you bring it to that 60-minute call instead of, giving it away to everybody else that's in the pod. Like, you can use that call for whatever you desire that's just you and I. So that is $1,444 per month. It is a 12-month commitment also. or it's $14,444 paid in full for the year. That's Resonance Gold. So those are ways that you can come deeper into my world. Please go ahead and continue to share that IMN graphic, because we'll have more names in here tomorrow, and we will draw more names tomorrow. So we do have module 2 of expansion tomorrow at, I believe it's 5:30 Eastern. So I will see you then.